Hey, what's up, guys?
What's
We
going
are
on?
the
Welcome to
Marauders.
Star Wars podcast.
Why are you whispering? I don't understand.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
Keep it secret.
It's a secret podcast.
Keep it safe.
It's a secret because it's a new night. Thursday night.
It is. It is a new night. We're on Thursday now.
Hey,
So every Thursday, 7:30, right here. Well, not like in my room, but like we're all in different rooms because we have to be. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think everybody is tired of being just stuck in one place.
we're at the quarantina.
The quarantina. That's a good one. Okay, enough of that. So, I'm glad that you guys are with us. We're just hanging out. So, let's introduce everybody. Go for it.
What's going on, y'all? This is Ace Kennedy coming to you live from the Kennedy compound.
Shane.
That's it. That's all you got, Shane. Shane.
Just Shane. Justin coming to you from the attic somewhere on Tatooine.
This is Joey coming to you from the Combine. I don't know. We're doing something over here.
So Joey, you got somebody fighting behind you there? I'd be careful. You might. Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
Oh, is that a scene that didn't happen?
It did. Everybody, look at Rey's costume. It looks like Luke Skywalker from Jared, make it big.
Jedi.
We might be a little butthurt about this, so just we're going with it, okay?
Show him. Make it big.
Can you make it big? Make it big.
There you go.
Disappointment. That's disappointment right there.
I'm gonna spill my drink. I'm pretty disappointed now.
Have one of the droids bring you another one.
You need a little Gronk droid.
It's pretty much empty now.
Okay, so have you guys, before we talk about our stuff we were going to talk about, have you watched the show Lego Masters at all?
I have only the first few of the episodes.
You need to watch last night's episode. It is really good. It's a Star Wars episode, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it up. But yes, they build a droid, and there were some pretty cool ones.
And
I thought out of Legos.
How big was it?
That's what she said. I don't know.
Can we do office jokes on here? We can do office jokes?
Oh, God.
We'll do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
Our podcast, we can talk and do what we want.
Okay. I'm going to unshare it now. I'm kidding.
Okay. So, anyways, let's get on with this thing, don't we? So, our first thing we're going to talk about are the trilogies that we've had. We've had 3 trilogies now. What are your favorites, and what do you think about each one, and how do they rate for you? Let's just start with the mod for this one.
Oh, wow. Here's my thing, man. This is a sore subject for me because this is where the Star Wars fandom gets really spicy. Because people want to put the trilogy, the prequels versus the originals versus the sequels. It's one story. So for me, there's parts of the story that I like, and there's parts of the story I don't like. When you're reading a book, you don't look at the book and be like, oh, what'd you think about the beginning of the book? What'd you think about it's one story. So for me, there are parts that I like and parts that I don't like. And that's where I stand on all of the whole entire Skywalker saga or the Palpatine saga.
What a cop-out.
I thought we were going to get real on here.
Wow. You know, a chapter of the book. I mean, we're not. The question isn't, was the whole story good? It was the part of the story, the first trilogy, which we're saying 4, 5, and 6, second trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, or the third one, 7, 8. Like, where do you rate them? What's good?
Okay.
Why?
And I gave my answer. I heard the question very well. The question was, what do I think about the story? So what I think is that the thing is, it's one story, regardless of when it was, when it started, when it ended. The bottom line is that whole thing was one long story. So I don't have to separate the trilogy out from the prequels, from the originals. No, it's one story. And at the end of the day, I like parts of it and I don't like other parts of it. Next.
Okay, I'm gonna hop in here. First off, I'm gonna give you an actual answer. Okay. And it does not. This is not my rating of the films. Okay, I rate the films completely different. If we're going to rate trilogies, it's the originals, it's prequels, and then it's the crap they put out in the last few years. Okay, it's just like that. Now, there are some films in 7, 8, 9 that I like more than say 1, 2, or 3, or 4, 5, and 6. But if we're going by trilogies, 7, 8, 9 is the worst. And what makes 7, 8, 9 the worst is 8. Because 8 is the worst film in this entire 9 films.
And the reason why you say that is because you don't like good story. That's what that is.
Let me finish. If I wanted a good story, I would go watch something other than Star Wars. If I wanted an Oscar-worthy film, I would go watch something other than Star Wars. I don't go to Marvel expecting to see an Oscar movie. I go to Marvel for a fun movie with a cool story. That's what I go to Star Wars for.
So basically, you saying that 8 script was too advanced for you. That's
what I'm saying for you is that 8 should not have been in this trilogy. 8
Why
should
not?
have been its own movie because he took everything that they did in 7 and threw it away, and because he wanted to be different. It should not have been in this trilogy. That's what I've always stuck by this. 8 was not a movie for this trilogy.
Why wasn't it? What part of it wasn't?
It's not one part. It's the overall way. He took everything that they did in 7 and he threw it away. Phasma died. Ray's parents don't mean anything. Skywalker's a joke. Like, come on.
I know,
go ahead.
No, I know when you say he took everything away. I know you don't literally mean everything. He did run with some things, but and this, I mean, again, this is an opinion. You can have an opinion. The majority, I would say the majority of the opinion out there is that he went against, even just here in the last couple of days, I sent this to Shane too. The editors and stuff came out that did some of the editing.
Mary Jo Marquis and Marianne Brandon.
Yeah. And they even said too that they felt like, again, their opinion, they felt like he totally went back on JJ had set up to him. Now, let me say this other thing too. Think about this. So whenever we handed it off, if you remember the news, whenever JJ handed it off to Ryan, the report was he gave Ryan a bunch of stuff to run with. And the report said that Ryan just discarded all of it, right? Then later on, we get the report that JJ had read it, and the quote was, "It was a bold move." What does that tell you?
That he wanted to direct it.
Listen, that tells you that he was surprised because it did something he didn't think it was going to do. So what I'm saying is he went a totally different direction than JJ thought he was going to go. Whether we could argue whether good or bad, I'm not saying that, but he did do a different direction than anybody.
Okay, let me ask y'all a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me ask y'all a question. Number one, since you brought up the Light Diffuse podcast that the editors were on, what was the second part of their statement? Because you and I go back and forth about episode 9 all of the time, right? So what was the last part of their statement?
Oh, tell me, what was it?
The last part of their statement was that JJ they probably did not like 8, but they said that they were not trying to fix episode 8. They took the story from 8 and finished it out with 9. So
once you burn the house down, you can't fix it. You tear it down and start over. Like
just because the script was too complex for you, I don't have time to explain that to you.
No.
But the other thing, y'all keep bringing up y'all keep saying he. Do y'all not understand that Star Wars is big enough that you do understand that there are multiple people that have to approve the stuff? So you got to blame Kathleen Kennedy. You got to blame the story group. You got to blame all the other executives.
And I do blame everyone.
That's perfect. No, okay, so let's look at this. Here's when we're talking about the trilogy, I was going to say same order as Shane, and my reasonings for bad for this last trilogy. Don't get me wrong. It's good. And if I sat here and said, I did love 7, I did love 8, I did love 9 in different ways. I like 8. I don't like what they did with Luke, but I like 8. It's a great movie. Rian Johnson's a great director. It does not have nothing to do with Rian Johnson as a director, but I don't like what he did with Luke. That's fine. Cool. 9, honestly, in my opinion, and this is going to be 9's the worst in all 3 of them. Not that I didn't like as a fan some of the stuff in 9. It's just, it's not fun to watch. What scene do you want to rewatch? I mean, maybe when they're fighting on Endor, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's probably one of the best fight scenes in this trilogy, right? But here's what I was going to say. The biggest problem with this trilogy is planning. There wasn't the same plan, wasn't the same. So, and don't get me wrong, George, he wrote the script why they were doing stuff, him and Kasdan. Now, but the difference is you had one person having the ideas in their head and carrying the script forward. Now what we have with the last 3 is we have multiple people instead of having one person. Why couldn't they just in the beginning when George gave them his script, obviously they didn't like it. You know, in the very beginning when they bought it, George is like, here's what I have already. Here, it's already set for you. Here's 7, 8, 9.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, but I'm not done with my comment.
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
So anyways, when he gave them the script, they could have said, change it or maybe bring George in to be an overall look. The other thing too is they did have a writer in the very beginning for all of Star Wars. And what he said to them was, we need years to write a trilogy. And they were like, no, we got to get this out now. We got to do it, which I understand from a Disney, from a financial standpoint, you have to make your money. They just spent a bukus of money. They have to make it. So they started putting it out. So that's why you see on set, you see Kasdan and you see JJ still writing the script while they're on set. It's a miracle that 7 was as good as it was. 7 is great. 7's awesome. But it's a miracle that it was as good as it was because there wasn't the planning. Now, here's my other point to that. Look at what Marvel's doing, right? Just here recently, a couple of months ago, what's the director for calm down, Ahmad, hold on. The director for Doctor Strange, right? He just left, right? What's his name? Scott Denson, whatever. Doctor Strange director just left. What did he say? Oh, we parted on, different opinions, this and that. Well, what's really going on? Kevin Feige stepped in and said, I don't want it this way. This is how we're going to do it. If you don't like it, okay. He's still on the credits, but he's not doing it anymore because Kevin Feige has a plan. Has a plan, has a direction. He has a vision, and they have to be on board with it. That is what suffered the most in 7, 8, 9 is a plan and a vision. Okay, go ahead, Amon.
Well, you stole my point about Marvel because Marvel had different directors and they all had different visions outside of the fact that they had beats that they had to hit.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but and just like I was talking about last week, I'm about to let you go, Justin. I just want to say this real quick about what I said last week. You notice that Kevin Feige didn't get the flack that Kathleen Kennedy got because that's two directors. That's two directors that's down from that from Doctor Strange, but
because he's a straight A student, he does straight A's.
Yeah. Justin, how do you feel, bro? I want to know how you feel about it.
No. I'm sitting back and watching this. This is good. This is good talk. We all know what the best lineage of the trilogies are. It's the originals, it's the prequels, and it's the sequels at the very end. That's just common knowledge.
See, and that's the thing. I think the next week we ought to come with our order of the movies because my thing is that.
And that's a totally different thing.
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I think it's very toxic for Star Wars fans to separate out the trilogies. That's my opinion. Like I said, he asked my opinion. That's what it was.
So let me go back. I totally agree with you guys on the Marvel thing. Marvel has
Don't backtrack.
Not backtracking. I know I've already said how I feel, but Marvel has always had a sense of direction. They've known from the minute they started where they were going to end. And that's where they went wrong with this trilogy, is they started somewhere, they had no idea where they were going, and then they let each person do their own thing. Now, you got to put the blame on Kathleen Kennedy and everyone else in that writer's room. Because if they're going to disagree,
No, you maybe hit a point. Go ahead.
when I'm firing on episode 8, I'm not just firing at Rian Johnson. I think Rian Johnson wanted to do something totally different, and I'm fine with that if it's not in a trilogy. Don't start a trilogy and then have him come in and blow it all up.
But
like,
you know whose fault that is? That's not Kathleen Kennedy's fault. That's JJ's fault. Because if JJ wanted to finish the story out, then he should have been around for all 3 instead of stepping away.
Then don't.
And that is true.
JJ's known for not finishing.
To Ahmad's point,
sorry.
And to Ahmad's point, they did offer JJ after 7. They went and said, "Take all of it," and he said no. He didn't want to do it.
That's right.
So look, there's definitely some blame to be. I mean, JJ could have set the story. I think we would have been. Here's the only question, and this isn't whether you like 8 or not. This isn't the only. This is just this. Do you agree with this statement? The Star Wars brand suffered as a result of The Last Jedi. Yes or no?
False.
See, I say yes.
Because here's why I say that. If we would have gotten episode 9 the way Colin Trevorrow had it written, I think everybody would have shut up.
Totally agree.
It would have been better for sure.
It would have been better. But
I don't disagree with that, Ahmad. That is good.
Episode 8.
I still think after 8, regardless of getting 9, even though we didn't get, like, let's say before 9 came out and you have 7 and 8, again, I liked the movie. I don't like what they did with Luke. There's actually scenes I want to watch more in 8 than I do in 9.
Right.
But I do think, whether you like it or not, Star Wars did suffer as a result of The Last Jedi overall.
This is why I disagree, right? Because, see, we didn't have social media back in the day. So when the originals came out, there was a lot of people that hated Empire, right? So it wasn't until Return of the Jedi came out that now if you ask 75 to 65% of Star Wars fans, most people think that Empire is the number 1 movie within all of the movies. So the thing was that you had to have the closing of the story in order to appreciate the middle, because the middle is the climax. So if it would have ended right, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. A lot of people would be like, yo, if we wouldn't have got The Last Jedi, we wouldn't have got the ending that we got.
Mm-hmm.
I think though you're comparing apples to oranges, even though it's all the Skywalker saga. When New Hope, when New Hope,
it's the Palpatine saga. Change the name.
It is the Palpatine saga, and that's JJ's fault.
So you have the New Hope, then you had Empire. Nobody had this much information about Star Wars. So when the second one came out, everybody did like it. And especially the whole thing at the end where Luke, I'm your father, that obviously like ripped people new ones on that. They didn't know what to think on that. I didn't see that with when you came from The Force Awakens going into The Last Jedi. The first thing we see is the one thing that most people did not want to see, and that was Luke Skywalker throwing a lightsaber without any understanding of why he did that quick. I think they set the precedent at the beginning of that movie, and it already turned off like a normal viewer like me. Like I've read some of the old books, but I haven't read all the new canon stuff. You guys have, so you have a better understanding of some of those things. And Joey keeps flipping his background. That's awesome.
What was Luke doing on this island this whole time? Throwing porgs off the side of just practicing to throw his lightsaber away?
No,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to answer that question. So there's a book that came out right before episode 8. It was The Legend of Luke Skywalker, right? Yep. So you had these different stories to where Luke was out trying to find more information about the Force. Mm-hmm. And so so the legend of Luke Skywalker, you hear all of these, like in one of the stories, which is one of the greatest ones, he was in a cantina or something, and this guy was telling him the story of he didn't know that was Luke. And so he was telling him the legend of stuff. So it's one of those things that Luke had a lot of stuff on him, man. Like this dude, his dad was one of the reasons why the Empire was taking over the world. And then his nephew, and he was the one that trained his nephew and almost killed his nephew. So he had a lot going on. So he felt like if I remove myself, I let my sister down, I let my brother-in-law down, and I'm letting the world down. If I cannot live up to this is old man Luke. This is not middle-aged 40-year-old, 30-year-old Luke. This is old man Luke. So the thing is he is not in the same headspace. We don't have the information available to see him in his ultimate form.
He's in his ultimate form right there, though.
He's ultimate. He's Super Saiyan.
Here's the thing. He's not even. Luke isn't even anywhere near Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker. How many younglings did Darth Vader kill? And he couldn't even kill one. Luke couldn't kill one. Come on, not even as good.
That's where we're going with it.
So it's interesting too. It's interesting you bring up Legends and stuff like so. When Disney took over and they cut all the canon stuff and made it Legends, and like I understand why they did. I mean, it's a money standpoint. Like I get it. Like it makes sense. But it goes back to a lot of the stuff we gripe about. The same thing is like you're writing this stuff. Like again, as I say all this stuff, I have not read this stuff. I've just heard these are opinions I've heard from other people just stating it. But from what everybody says, the Finn that's in the comics, the all the different characters that are in the comics and the books are so deep, and they're so cool. Phasma, and then you get them on the screen, and it's like these actors don't even know. And don't get me wrong, I think the best thing that this trilogy did is casting. By the way, first of all, but they don't even know what these characters did because they just did whatever they wanted to do for the movies, and they didn't care about the rest of the stuff that they themselves took out and put back in and started creating. And again, that's what Kevin Feige does so well at. And, you know, it's said that he is probably hard to work for because he's probably particular. And I just think maybe we need someone to come in who's particular about certain things and be a little bit of a backbreaker sometimes. I don't know.
So
okay. Yeah, go ahead. This last one, and we're going to go on.
Go ahead. I'm ready. So this is all I'm going to say is this is what gets me so excited about the High Republic era that they're building is they're doing it right. Started with groundwork. They've laid it. We're going to get it in books. We're going to get it in comics. We're going to get it in every media they can put it out in. And so this is what gets me excited is they're starting with the direction. And I think that can only help the movies because they're High Republic movies. So that's what gets me excited. If they're going to start something, start it with direction because I feel like that's where they lost it with 7, 8, and 9 is there was no direction of where they were going.
And from that video, it seems like they're doing like they all got together. They're all talking about the stories they're writing and making sure they're connected and they all go together. Love it. Please, Disney, keep it up. They're doing good.
The minute you bought Star Wars, lay your groundwork.
Yeah, they're doing it. I don't know. I think a time thing. I think they needed the money. Well, not needed it, but they got to make money off what they've spent.
Wanted it.
Yeah.
Got to make it. I mean, investors need their money.
Okay, since you've already kind of segued us into this, anyways, we'll come back to the other one I was going to talk about. So the new Star Wars High Republic books. Now we've seen it's been about a month now, right, since we actually got the full announcement. I believe that they were saying, "Hey, here's the book. It's going to be 200 years before Phantom Menace," which I know excites Shane because that means we get to see Yoda in his prime. We're not seeing old man Yoda. Yeah. So, Justin, you want to lead off on this? Did you get to read that article at all?
I read a little bit about it. I know we talked about it a while back. Since then, I haven't read much, but I am excited to see what it would have looked like with Yoda being younger, more in tune, not more in tune with the Force, but more in tune with his abilities. I think it's going to be interesting. I haven't read a lot of the canon stuff like you, Jared, but I am looking forward to jumping into something with everyone together. So starting with these books and moving forward before we get any movies, before we get, whatever's coming next, it is going to be interesting to see where they take the story. There was a really cool YouTube write-up, or not write-up, but a YouTube video when they were talking about going in the writer's room and just kind of giving everybody a blank slate and saying, here, you have free range, the legends, the canon, write something good. And I hope that that's what is actually being done.
The only thing that scares me about this, because I really have not done any research on this yet, the only thing that scares me is kind of the same thing that we go through with like the original movies and all of that, is that I'm hoping that people are not trying to compare the High Republic to the Old Republic. And so if we can, like you said, have a clean slate where everybody's on the same sheet of music of this is all brand new and not, you know, the legend heads coming like, oh, this is not like how what this was and in Old Republic, then I think we'll be fine.
Shane, would you like to go on with this? Did you look at the characters at all?
Yeah, so I looked at the characters, and we've only seen a little bit of the characters. You know, they haven't shown us the whole list. And this is what I think is neat, is kind of like what Ahmad said. They're going a whole different direction with this. Yeah, it's High Republic, so it's an era that we know, but they've thrown out the vast majority of the canon on Old Republic times. So they're starting with a clean slate. And then they're also, I don't know the name of the station, but they're also basing this like towards the Outer Rim at the time, which is, you know, the galaxy wasn't as big as it was in the movies we know. So they're basing it off this space station. It's like a way station, I guess, where the Jedi are. And, you know, and they do missions and stuff out of that. And then there's going to be a few other settlements and stuff. So they're starting with locations and territories and things that we don't have a history on. So I'm hoping we'll lose a little bit of that, like, oh, well, that's not the way it was in the books. And I'm guilty of that because, I mean, obviously, I quote book stuff all the time. Like, give us a clean slate. Take us places we've never been. They've kept it in an era where you've got Yoda. So there's things that, you know, there's things that we can still know, but I don't feel that Yoda's going to play a major part in it either. I think Yoda could just be a guest character. So I'm excited for I'm just excited for something new in a new direction. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so I think I'm going to have to switch you guys back. This is like freaking me out.
Switch
here.
me around.
That feels more comfortable.
There he is.
Okay, so let's pull this up real quick and let's take a look at some of these characters.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pick our favorite character out of these, huh?
Lightsabers, guys.
So, okay, so real quick, somebody looks really familiar from some new shows that I think they copied something out of here.
You're talking about Loden Greatstorm?
Talking about this one. Who does she look like to you guys?
She looks like can't think of my girl's name. Oh my gosh.
You have so many girls.
From the newest Ahsoka set we've got going on right now. But I can't think of her name either. One
Rosaria
of the sisters.
Dawson? Oh.
Talking about from the cartoons.
From last week, yeah.
Oh, I got what you're saying. Yeah, she does look like what is her name? Why can't I think of it?
I don't know. I can look it up later.
Yeah.
Okay. So
horrible.
Let's talk about this. So from what I've read, this first lady right here, Avar Chris. Anybody know about her?
Jedi.
Yeah, she is the.
Good job.
She is. She's the like a high Jedi master for this series, like one of the main ones. And then this other one to the one that looks like the chick from Clone Wars that we got going on. That is actually her Jedi apprentice, or that was somebody that was under her. And then we have who's this guy? Loden Greatstorm, which we've seen some Twi'leks before. That's not new to us. Those guys are
what is their
cool.
What is their lifespan? Would we have seen him in any of the quote unquote older movies or anything? Is he like a Yoda's life force where they would live for 900 years or?
No, they don't live.
I don't think. Yeah,
normal lifespan.
You would have to look at what's the chick from Rebels? She's a Twi'lek, whatever it is.
Ahsoka?
Oh yeah. No, Ahsoka's not.
What?
Not Ahsoka. It's
the one that looks
Rebels.
like from The Mandalorian. That's a weird.
I don't know why I can't think of her name right now.
It's fine.
Anyways,
we can go on.
So in Clone Wars, they help out her.
I think Michelle said Rafa. Is that it? Did she say the right name?
Rafa. Yeah.
God, look at that clutch.
That's it. That was it.
Clutch.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that daughter ends up growing up to be Hera. That's who I was thinking of. Hera from Rebels.
And they have
so that lifespan can't be that long because she was a little kid and now she's an adult.
They have normal human lifespan. It's like 70, 80, like normal.
Right.
Well, okay.
So these are all the new characters. This the girl at the very end, the Vern,
the youngest Jedi.
Vern.
She is the youngest Jedi in this at 16. That's
Old
true.
Vern.
I read a little
That's,
bit.
that's an
Oh,
Oklahoma
Vern.
Jedi. Vern. What's your Jedi
Hey,
name? It's Vern.
He's going to
Well,
be.
I mean, you know.
He's in the teen novel books that they're writing. I think is what
Yeah.
she's.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because there's comics, there's books, there's
Yeah,
like little
but she is. I
small
did see
books. Yeah.
I did see a tweet because they were asking about the Jedi braids and the rankings and stuff, and they said that is still a thing in this era because they do the stashes.
Sorry, Joey.
Yeah.
No,
Go
that was
ahead.
really that was about it.
I love the
Because there's
aesthetic with
nothing-
the golds and the whites. Like we're not into all the Jedi browns that you see in the more modern movies. They're a little more flashy. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the transition became from this to the more of like the brown, like monk almost look we see in the more modern movies. But I love this aesthetic. I love this era. Like this is the height of the Jedi power. Like they ruled the galaxy because we're deep into the rule of two. So there are two Sith out there, but we don't know who they are. I don't know if they're going to play a part. But like,
Wait a minute.
Well, I think you said it. I think you nailed it. Whenever you were talking about being regarded as, I mean, it's called High Republic. They are regarded as some of the greatest, most valiant warriors of this time. They're at the height, so they're looked on as almost royalty. So I think that's why you see them with this dress this way.
So you said there's the rule of two was in effect. We're not going to get a bunch of Sith in this.
no, the rule of two was 1,000
Well,
years.
and
That's when
and
Bane
not only that, if you remember in episode 1, we haven't seen a Sith in 2,000 years.
yes.
So
Right.
here's a theory. I heard somebody talk about this. What if, I mean, because writing, you can write whatever you want, but what if they do meet Sith, and for some reason Yoda clears all their minds of it, clears the history of it because of some reason or something, and he's the only one that ever knew about it. You could have Sith. Well, all that is, I think we're going to see some other things other than Sith. Probably
agree.
some gods.
I agree.
Some Grand Inquisitors.
Yeah, there's going to be something like that, but Bane set the rule of two, and that is canon because Bane is canon. So Bane set the rule of two, and that's why we don't see Sith. In some of the canon books, I think you read up to Ahmad, lightsaber duels were uncommon. Like they mentioned like lightsabers are basically there for training. Like and they say like what happens if you duel? And they're like, no, you don't duel with lightsabers.
Man, listen, I want another scene from episode 2 where we got all of them lightsabers, and it should be all of them Sith coming out. It's a big old war.
Totally agree. And you can get that with other armies. Like you can get a bunch of, and I think we might get that with this, like a whole group of Jedis fighting an army. Like bring me that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I'm down.
I just want to be General Grievous over on the sidelines waiting for all these dead Jedi so I can collect all these lightsabers.
Lightsabers.
Make a killing.
Look at this.
Literally.
Hey, am I missing something? But don't they have a Wookiee as a Jedi in this High Republic?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. There is a picture of one.
Okay.
There hasn't been anything set out like this though. They have like a Wookiee and 2 other people, almost like the front of a book, but they haven't actually set out a picture with their name and announced that fully.
I was just making sure I didn't make that up.
No, we haven't.
No, it was on the Twitter release, the book cover.
Yeah.
You actually
Yes.
see him.
The book
And
cover,
Jared-
he's actually got it.
That the name that we was trying to think of, Rafa.
It's in the
Michelle
chat.
answered for us.
I mean, I know, but we didn't bring it up. That's all. That's why I was bringing it up.
He did.
You
I
had
must have
actually
went off.
You were gone.
Plug it in my
walk-
computer.
you'd walked away, and she mentioned Rafa, and then I was like, oh, it's Hera. That's Hera's name in Rebels. So,
Well,
yeah.
Hera's the Twilight.
Right, and
It's
that's
okay.
what we were talking.
You'll catch up later.
So last thing, this reminds me of like King Arthur style robes. It's not like the normal Jedi robes that we see.
Well, if you notice,
So it's
that guy
almost
has a
like-
cross guard.
I know, and there's a lot of lightsabers with cross guards, which I love.
That's right.
Which
So, I mean, I guess it goes along
kind
with
of makes me
I mean,
upset about
does
the
this
cross
mean-
guard. Go ahead,
'Cause it
Justin.
No, you're good.
No, I'm just saying that frustrates me a little bit about the cross guard because I would have loved if Kylo was the first one to have that.
But what if it was the crossroads? Boom, 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 boom.
Down at a crossroads. Yeah.
Or that.
Okay. So you want to say one last thing, Shane?
But, no, I'm going to talk
No,
about.
you're good?
We don't need to go down that rabbit trail.
Yeah, let's stay away from that. I think we've said
End it.
enough at the beginning of this. So you did bring up something, the rule of two for the Sith. So here's something to go by. Does eliminating the Sith, like the Jedi always say, they're like, oh, Anakin will bring balance to the Force, or Luke taking out Vader brought him back, so it brought balance to the Force, or when, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Skywalker, the end of that one, does that bring balance to the Force? Shane, you want to start with Shane?
You want to start with me? Okay, so
Yeah.
so I don't think the Jedi and the Sith have always had it wrong. I don't think it's a numbers game, and I don't think you can eliminate the Sith. There's always a light side. There's always a dark side. I think when you try and bring balance to the Force, I think it's the way they're using the Force. It's a balance of light side and dark side powers. So, like, that's what the Jedi never embraced. The Jedi were always light. Like, we can't do anything that the you're killing me. We can't do anything that we would consider dark side. And so I think that's where they misstep. Like, it's not a kill all the Sith. It's find the balance of using the light side and the dark side. So it's more of a gray Jedi. So I don't think you can eliminate it. The Jedi can never be purely good because you're always going to have someone who's bad. So there will always be a Sith side. I don't think that you can eliminate it. It's just me. So no, I don't think you can eliminate it.
I think we lost Justin.
I thought
There
you
he
said,
is.
never mind. I thought you said something else. I can't read today.
I read the same thing,
Can't
bro.
read
I read
today.
the same thing.
Yeah. Is this what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were doing.
Can we start a new segment where we do bold predictions and we all make just ridiculous bold predictions of Star Wars?
Yeah, let's
Go
do
after
it.
it.
Let's start.
We need some theme music for it just to get
Bold prediction.
My bold prediction is that we will see a live action Mace Windu in Mando. Old man Mace.
Oh,
Boom, bold prediction.
that would be sick.
Are you kidding me? Would love that.
That's bold.
Bold.
Mace Windu. They're
Bold.
waiting for Sam. They're waiting for
Bold
Samuel Jackson
prediction.
older. They want him to be really old.
Are we talking
Okay.
like? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
We're off. We're rabbit.
we're waiting. Yeah, that was a rabbit in. I don't know where that rabbit was going.
Sorry,
actually,
That's what she said. That's what she said.
okay. So, getting rid of the Sith, does it bring balance to the Force? Now that we all didn't pay attention to Shane and
Doesn't bring
everything
balance
he
to the Force.
said,
Say it again.
No,
I'm kidding. Don't say it
No,
again. We don't want
what
to
he
hear it.
said is, if there's a powerful light, there has to be a powerful dark. If there's a powerful dark, there has to be a powerful. It's the balance.
Yeah.
So, honestly, the Jedi should just go kill themselves, and
See-
then that way there wouldn't be any.
Here- my honest opinion is that
They were real
I
heroes.
think they misinterpreted balance the Force.
Totally
I
agree.
think balance the Force is a
I know what it means to
personal
Maz.
thing. It's a personal thing, meaning that balancing the Force is in between. Balancing the Force is actually something that's personal to each person, and it's not like if the light side destroys the dark side, then that balances the Force. I think it's a personal struggle that you have to balance.
Here's a bold statement from Michelle. Ewoks bring balance to the Force.
To your children.
That's it. Ewoks.
Did you see
Ewoks-
the Ewok movie?
That's the secret of all of Star Wars was Ewoks. I knew it. It was Ewoks all the way down.
I mean,
all
the
the way down.
Jawas are basically Ewoks with cloaks on their face.
pretty much.
It was Ewoks all the way down. Ace is not amused.
No, he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't
you
care.
actually-
He's like, whatever.
No, what actually when you said Ewoks, it just made me think of a question. Like, I know this is so off subject, but you brought it up. So
Do it.
who is the cutest in
Right
Star
there.
Wars?
Right there.
Ewoks Porgs,
Natalie Portman.
Baby Yoda, or Babu Frik?
It's Natalie Portman.
No, it's not Natalie Portman.
Natalie-
No, who? Okay, no.
Here we
Serious
go.
question. What's the cutest? We saw
Ewoks.
last week. We saw Ahmad kiss a porg live on the
Ewoks,
podcast.
Porgs, Baby Yoda, or Babu Frik?
Baby
Oh
Yoda.
man,
It's Baby Yoda.
that's just because you own one.
I don't know. I actually finally went back and rewatched The Last Jedi again with my family, and when the Falcon is flying, and Chewie's over there on the gun, not on the guns, but he's flying it, and the port's going. Ah! that was pretty awesome.
Okay, here's my deal. Baby Yoda, what else turned the world upside down? It wasn't
That's
porgs. It wasn't but
Do you-
Bobu, whatever.
Babu
It wasn't
Frik.
R2-D2. It was baby freaking Yoda.
You want to know who really saved that last trilogy? Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. That's what saved the last trilogy.
Can we talk? Hey, can we talk about great casting in the last trilogy? The casting's phenomenal. Good
Yeah.
actor. Sorry, I had to say something positive. I feel like I've been negative all night.
Negative Nancy.
Dude, the casting's unreal.
Great teeth. A lot of great teeth.
Natalie
Right,
Portman.
Shane?
There's lots of
That's
great
teeth.
teeth.
Teeth is your thing. So
Teeth, man. Telling you.
I'll leave that to you.
Okay, let's go on. Yeah, I think we need to pass on the teeth. Let's.
Did we answer the question?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Baby Yoda.
I think we're way past all of that.
Making sense. Yeah, we're way past making
Yeah.
sense right now.
So Ahsoka, these new Clone Wars episodes. We talked a little bit last week. So this last one I finally got to watch from last Friday. Have you all got to watch it? You're good?
Yes.
Okay. So we saw a few things in there that actually may lead to what we've been seeing in other stuff coming out, new series, Mandalorian. So let's talk about that. Joey, I want you to go.
I mean, I really don't have much to say other than we saw Mandalorians with their masks. It was pretty awesome. I'm excited. I'm ready to get into that point. I want those episodes. I want there to be a lot of those episodes. Because look, and I get it. I will be the first to tell you, building your way into something is the best thing to do. The payoff is better. It's better. So I'm trusting them to take me where they're wanting to take me. And so far, I'm seeing Ahsoka kind of make this journey after she leaves the Jedi. I get it. I'm in, but I can't wait. It's like, you can't wait for dessert. I can't wait for the ice cream because it's going to be really good when she gets to Mandalore, helps take Maul out of Mandalore, just see what all happens there. I'm excited.
Anybody else?
Something Joey said that was interests me because I've been trying to fit this whole thing. I'm always trying to figure out the storyline as far the timeline, not storyline. So, for spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched Solo, you will see that Kara goes to basically because Maul is running the underworld basically. So is Ahsoka the one that takes out Maul of the underworld so that Kara can run it?
Like the following canon, or
It's in canon. So what I'm saying is in Solo, right? Kara left.
Which is the girl? Yeah, the girl.
The girl,
at the end.
the girl that at the end, it was the one
Right.
that was that Solo was in love with.
Khaleesi.
Yeah, Khaleesi. And so she went off. Remember, Maul summoned her, and because he was running that underworld that the other dude, Vision was running.
The what was that called?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I love it. I love it.
Crimson something.
Crimson Dawn or something like that.
That's it.
Crimson
Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, so I'm
Yes.
just trying to figure out if that because nobody knew how Maul, because Maul eventually, his whole focus turned on trying to find Obi-Wan, and so
Yeah.
I'm thinking that was how, because I mean, obviously we both know that we know that both of them are gonna live, but I wonder if that fight is what makes him change his direction. So, back to the original question. What I loved about the episode, I for one am one of the ones that think that this episode and all three of those episodes are essential for the story. And like Joey said last week, we won't really know until we see what the payoff is. But to me, this is the awakening of her becoming a Jedi again, because she really hasn't, like, I don't eat. There was a question somebody asked me when that jet flew by and Anakin sensed her. Do you think that she sensed that was Anakin, or that was just a presence in the vessel? Did she know that was Anakin?
She had to have known it was Anakin.
Oh, you didn't think I thought she knew it was Anakin.
I don't think she did either. I just think she thought it was a presence. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I think she thought it was Anakin.
That's what I thought. I thought it was kind of obvious.
She would know her master's feelings. Like,
I felt like if she knew it was Anakin, it would have been a bigger, like, like it was just almost like she felt something, because to me it felt like she has turned off her Jedi powers, and she only really used it when she met these girls. That's what I felt like. It's almost like if anybody played.
I disagree.
If anybody's played, no, you're fine. If anybody played Jedi Fallen Order, where he basically hid his powers, and throughout the game you're gaining stuff back, it feels like she's reawakening up her Jedi senses. But Justin, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. I had some lag on my end. I disagree with that, because I feel like it's like that whole scene with Han and Chewie when he's telling him to fly past those ships, but not make it obvious that you're trying to fly past those ships. I think she was trying to maybe conceal it a little bit, but she absolutely, just from watching that, absolutely knew that was Anakin, and I think that he even absolutely knew that was her.
Oh, I know I know.
I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what they were trying to portray. I feel like she absolutely knew that too, because like what Shane said, because that they feel your master,
Yeah, like you know each other's like force presence, like, because Vader senses Obi-Wan. It's a presence I haven't felt in a long time. Like, he felt that specific presence. So I think that's what it is she would know his feeling in the force. He would know hers. Like, I think each person have their own distinct feeling in the force. Like, however that is. So that's all I got.
You muted. Yeah, we were trying to figure out what's going on.
I've got some kids. So
I feel like that I think there's some disgust with the Jedi Order that we already know about with her. And I think there's some disappointment. So when she feels his presence, I think she knows that it's him, but it's more like you're irritated with your brother or sister, and you're like, yeah, I know you're there, but I'm just gonna go on. I'm not even gonna.
I was kind of hoping in that episode that Rafa would have a moment where she had to make a split-second decision of saving a bunch of people or saving somebody else, just to have the wrap around. Because I don't know, that's just what I thought it was going for a second. I was like, oh, because the Jedi, she was mad at the Jedi because during the scene with her and bugs in here. Sorry. Anyways, so I just thought we were going to have a big circle with her, but
well, that was one thing.
Decision. Oh,
no, go ahead. Yeah, you go for it, Justin.
I just was saying, can we talk about the decision to in the episode before this one to release all the spice into when you're in light speed
into hyperspace?
Like, why was that? Why was that a good idea? Why was that ever a good idea?
Well, I think that she just didn't know the magnitude of. I mean, like she said, she thought if I get rid of this thing that we're arguing about, then they'll stop arguing. She doesn't. She's never been from that place, so she doesn't know the magnitude of what that caused. Neither did Rafa. Rafa's just taking jobs, trying to survive. She don't really know what she's doing either.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. But still, it leads to one of the funniest memes that came out this last week. When it was like you'll have something that's like a bad idea. It's like, that is absolutely the worst idea. Why do you think that was ever a good idea? That was actually worse than what we were fixing to go do.
Yeah, at least we had something to trade before. Now we have nothing. That's what it came down to.
Dumping the spice was the worst decision ever.
Well, they don't want Ahsoka delivering spice. I mean,
I get it.
Well, Poe did it. It's a dirty old spice runner.
We don't see Poe do it.
Also, we don't see the Mandalorian and all the sketchy stuff he does before.
True. And Jaren did it as well. So
I would watch a Mandalorian show where he's doing sketchy stuff. Fine with that.
Speaking of Mandalorian,
with Baby Yoda carrying little carrying little packs of spice out of the ship of the Razor Crest.
Yeah, he would just levitate them.
He could smuggle it in this little air carrier, right? Just pack it full, sit him on top. No one's gonna look at him.
Yoda's going to be like a magician. He could just make him disappear and reappear. It doesn't matter.
But like the magician off of what's our favorite show, Joey? With has Tobias and you know the show I'm talking about.
Illusions, Michael.
Illusion.
But where did the lighter fluid come from?
What is that show? I can't remember anyway.
It's Arrested Development.
There it is.
Nice.
Okay, sorry, Jared. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So one thing I noticed was they thought that the Jedi were bad in the underworld part because when she goes down there, she realizes that because of these sisters, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched next week's episode, you might want to mute for a second because we're going to talk about it. But so the sisters, you had your warning. The sisters have a problem with Jedi because the Jedi just were chasing, is it Zero the Hutt, I believe? And so what happened was in all this collateral damage, their parents were killed. And all that was said to him was the Force is with you, basically. What all Jedi normally say. May the Force be with you. And so for them, it was like, okay, so the Force is with me, but I don't have my parents because of you. And they just walk away. So there's this disdain in the underground for Jedis. Just because of that, they're more just like, oh, I don't know a good analogy, but you get what I'm saying. Without bringing up things that we probably shouldn't bring up here, but anyways, so the Jedis in general aren't thought to be good. And so that whole mentality of the top versus the bottom, what do you guys think about that whole Jedi mindset?
You know, to be honest, I think it's Star Wars' way of showing classism. I feel like that it will go over a kid's head, but for us as adults, we've been getting movies here lately. I mean, they kind of did it in episode 8 when they were talking about when they were in Canto Bight, and she was telling him like, no, look with what you're seeing. And so they were able to see like the slaves down there dealing with those horse looking things, and so it was a classism thing because it's one of those things where you have people that were underprivileged that look at these people that are powerful, and you have a different perception.
Well, art always imitates life too. I mean, that's because we all go by how we're feeling about stuff, and I know that a lot of that is always. I mean, that's what I think really the whole Empire thing. What are we giggling about?
I'm sorry. Mike Collins' comment made me laugh. I'm sorry.
The Force be with you. Here, let's look at this real quick. The Force be with you is a Christian equivalent of everything happens for a reason.
That's pretty
that
good.
happened at the worst time of mine. I was trying to listen to
That's pretty good.
But by the way, Mike, if you weren't here earlier, there was a fight. So if you missed that, you're gonna have to go back to the beginning and watch some of that.
So I want to touch on this because I have feelings about this. The Jedi Order as a whole lost touch with reality. If that makes sense, the Jedi Order stopped focusing on helping the average person, and they basically became the generals and the police force of the Republic. So the Republic are sending them out, and they're doing missions, and they're fighting wars, and they're doing battles, but they lose touch with the people that the Order was built to help. In the past, I mean, if you want to go way back, in the past, the Jedi Order did not answer to the Republic. When the Jedi Order started answering to the Republic and directly to the Chancellor, then they basically became a police force. And I'm not getting political with this, but that's where they lost touch with the people. They would show up in these situations, and like they would bully people around, people would die, and then they would go back to their temple, and people would never see them again. So the average person who's, we got slavery, we got stuff like that in Star Wars. The Jedi always overlooked it because it was the Republic's, the Republic didn't let them intervene. So when they answered to the Republic, they lost touch with the mission of the Jedi Order.
Well, I mean, but you think about that though. This goes back to what we were talking about, the whole Palpatine saga. Who was pulling the strings in the Republic? Like he was setting them up. the
Yes.
whole time.
And
Like
this
he's been trying to, he tried to manipulate them and tried to make them people to believe that they were the enemy. That's how they was able to pull off Order 66.
and it goes far deeper than Palpatine. It started when Bane started the Rule of Two. He said it may take us, hundreds or thousands of years, but we will overthrow the Jedi. And the Sith, the two, always behind the scenes, they had spies, they had politicians, and they were always sowing discord, and they were always doing things to keep the Jedi off their heels while staying undercover. And that's why, the Sith played the long game. 1,000 years it took to overthrow the Jedi Order, but they did it masterfully. And when it happened, when Palpatine took control, everyone hated the Jedi. And that's why it was so easy for the Empire to step in, because when he said, "Oh, the Jedi tried to assassinate me," everyone believed it because they had laid 1,000 years of groundwork. The Jedi lost sight of the mission. I firmly believe that. And I could be going too deep with this, but it drives me nuts when I read the books because I'm like, just pay attention. Focus on the issues and help the people and stop answering to the freaking Republic. You're not a police force. I'm done.
Okay, I have a question though, right? Because we keep talking about the Sith and the Rule of Two, but so Palpatine had Maul at a point, but he had Dooku, but then Dooku had Ventress. So is it that there's only one master and one apprentice, or there's only two Sith?
So there's only ever a master and an apprentice. But when Palpatine took Maul, Palpatine was still under his master. Okay, so his master was like, "What is this guy?" And Palpatine was like, "Don't worry, I'm just using him. He is not considered my apprentice." So behind his master's back, he was telling Maul he was his apprentice, but he was telling his master, "Don't worry, he's just a tool," kind of like the Inquisitors were. And then when Maul dies, he kills his master. That's when he takes Dooku. But Palpatine was always looking ahead, and so Palpatine was already looking at Anakin, knowing that he wanted to groom him. So Palpatine always had what if Maul fails me? Well, I got a backup. What if he fails me? Well, I got a backup.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, so is there only just two Sith at a time, or is it always just a teacher and an apprentice?
So from Wikipedia, I have the actual definition. The Rule of Two is a Sith philosophy mandating that only two Sith Lords could exist at any given time. A master to represent the power of the dark side of the Force, and an apprentice to train under the master to one day fulfill their role.
Yeah, and there's also another one that says to covet it, because when you're an apprentice, your whole mission is to covet his power, and the only way you become the master is when you kill him and take the power.
Which in some of those episodes in Clone Wars, you actually see where the Emperor actually freaks out on Dooku a couple of times, and he's holding him up in the air and electrocuting him, saying, "Your power is getting too strong," basically.
Yeah, because
check yourself before you wreck yourself.
When he took
exactly, you want to die? This is a good way to do it.
How do all the Inquisitors fall in that?
Well, the Inquisitors were never Sith. The Inquisitors were just users.
Were users. Bunny ears. Is it Easter? Is that what we're talking about?
They were never Sith.
What's that?
Some of them are fallen Jedi, so it's just
right.
kind of...
They're just Force users, but they were never allowed to take the mantle of the actual Sith.
Yeah,
that's why they're
more about the mantle.
Right.
Love mantles.
Mandalorian.
The one thing that I noticed that was said at the end of Return of the Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker, is when he says he's always saying, when he told Luke, "Strike me down and then take my spot," basically. So why did he care then and not care, or why did he not care then to be struck down? But when he was talking to Dooku and those other guys, he did care. He was worried that they were going to take his power.
In my opinion, it's because he had already seen the outcome where Luke may go dark. So he had already planned for it. I mean, he'd always had plans where if he died, he had already planned ahead. He had his cult. They were going to get his spirit. I don't know if we're going to get into cloning, but he always had plans. And so he saw a future where Luke turned dark, where Luke struck Vader down, or where Luke struck him down. And that's why he's telling Luke to do that. I fully feel like the Emperor would have defended himself if Luke would have struck him. I don't think he would have let him kill him. He would have had him kill Vader, because then he would have become his apprentice. And that's what he wanted. Because Luke was far stronger than Vader. according to the movies. So if Luke had struck, I think he would have defended himself. Vader would have stepped in, and Luke would have killed Vader. And that's what the Emperor wanted. He wanted Luke as his apprentice. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so we're getting up on our hour, so we're gonna close this out. Is there any last thing you guys want to say about any of this today that we've talked about?
I just want to say that I really believe this next episode of Clone Wars is going to be amazing. I think we're going to finally start to tie this thing in a bow, because we only have 5 episodes left. So I think this is about to go down.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yep.
would
Looking
say-
forward to kind of getting back into some of the. I'm trying to actually go through from the very beginning of Clone Wars and go back through it. So looking forward to finishing the 3rd season this week. So we'll see. We'll see if I have new perspectives next week.
And
Joey?
I'll just say it's important for Disney to make the next trilogy to be a bigger win. That's all I'm going to say.
Is that one last sting?
I agree with Joey.
No, we're kind of recapping the episode. I'm just that I actually wanted to talk about Michael Beer, whatever, being cast on Mandalorian. So, but that's fine.
Nice.
That's for next week. That's for
That's-
next
yeah,
week.
we'll-
Hey,
we'll
do we
save some
bring our
next week,
list
though.
of our top list of 9? Our top list of our 9.
Oh,
Yeah,
Episode?
yes. Next week, we're going to
Yeah.
make
Episode order?
everybody is going to have to show their list, top to bottom, 9.
I think mine will
what
be
they
surprised.
are.
Are we including Rogue One in Solo or no?
Yes.
No,
We do
I think
that, don't-
just
if
the
we do-
original.
Okay, I was going to say if we do, we got to include
Episode
Clone
series.
Wars.
I
No, I think we
it's
just
the
the main
trilogy.
movie.
The
Okay.
3 trilogies. That's what we're going to go with.
Okay.
So
All right.
next time, guys, be back here for that. We are so happy that you guys decided to hang out with us. If you're seeing this later or hearing this later on our podcast, be sure to like this stuff, subscribe, or like whatever platform you're on. Just make sure to listen, hang out, enjoy it, and catch us every Thursday at
Just-
7:30.
Justin, hold my hand.
Oh, other way. Hey,
Hey.
Can we
everybody
do?
unite!
There,
Yeah.
there we go.
I going?
Oh wait, no, that doesn't look good. Don't do that, Joey.
Yeah. Hey, keep your hand out of my business. see you guys next time.
Love you
all.
guys. May the force be with
Take
you.
it easy.